So, after doing the FF10-2 challenge, I was actually going to have a break from the 10 series. But, well, I need a palate cleanser, so let's do this one instead of what I originally planned. So, can we beat Final Fantasy X using only counterattacks? Now, sounds difficult, especially since I normally ban items and other such things. Well, sadly, that would be impossible. Look, come on guys, you have to at least give me a chance with these. So, how then am I going to screw myself with the rules like always? Well, let's break this down. Obviously, you don't have counterattack and can't get it until minimum Guado Salam. Well, for the purpose of this run, we will mod counterattack onto Tidus's weapon. Once this is done, the only actions I can do is defend and use healing items. As for other characters, well, they have to wait until I unlock customized later. There is, however, an exception to this rule. The tutorials in Xanarkand, Besaid, Riku's Mix tutorial, and Oran's tutorial, and of course, Kimari's tutorial. These must be completed normally. However, since they affect nothing really, we're gonna let it slide. And the last thing we're going to cheat the rules a little is the Besaid to Kilika Sin fight, since the Fin cannot attack us. These few times are the only times where we simply cannot rely on auto battle, and since we allow the tutorials anyway, usually it's fine, right? So let's start the run, and because I'm tired of the whole name drama and how to pronounce it, we're gonna call Blondie here Ko-Fi. Hint hint, nudge nudge. Come on guys, Daphne needs a job. Sooner we hire her, the sooner you get tons more videos way more often. Now, enough trying to shill you guys tons of benefits, or my Discord server, wink wink. Let's officially start the run. Also, just a reminder, there is going to be a hint in this video for what the next challenge is. It could be an image on screen, something I say, or something an NPC says. If you think you find it, be sure to comment. First comment to guess correctly gets their comment pinned. Now, let's go. By speedrunning Xanarkand's dream sequence normally, but making sure to get the 2 potions from the NPC for later, and make sure to open the chests in Barge as well. We're going to need all the healing we can get. Once we get to the first save point in Barge Temple, we mod in counterattack for Tidus. Just the normal counterattack though, not evade and counter. That would be way too broken. And of course, magic counter. This way, now Tidus will counterattack when he is hit normally and with magic. So now we at least have a shot. And now for our first fight. We defend on the fishies and they get countered to death. As for Geo, well, for some reason the counter doesn't trigger, but thankfully it doesn't need to as the fight is timed. So we just need a couple defends to win. And now is the time where we're probably going to be using all of our potions and our high potion. A lovely little spider. And, well, turns out we didn't need a single one. We do have the grenade tutorial with Riku, which we're forced to do, but that's a tutorial anyway, and we allow them because we have no choice. As for the fight itself, it was surprisingly easier than I expected because of defending. We were taking less damage than usual, which I didn't factor in when thinking about this challenge run. Although it's only really going to make a difference in the early fights, later on when we fight Seymour and Anima for example, defending is going to do nothing. What is going to do something though is today's sponsor, Spellmasons. Embark on your all-time new favorite game. Spellmasons is a turn-based tactical roguelike where you get to combine spells, upgrade your character, and unleash thousands of combinations to slay the demonic hordes, featuring a near limitless amount of upgradability, and even features a mod menu, making it simplicity itself to change the game in any way you like. Play co-op with your friends and work together to build a combination to eliminate all enemies at once. Or just mess with your friends. We all know that's the fun part of co-op, and it's even playable on Steam Deck. Not only that, the game is constantly getting free updates from the developer, who is also extremely active in their Discord server and is always available when needed. This is a developer you can trust for the long term, and having had a little insight into some of the stuff he has planned, well, here's my current game time, and it's only going to skyrocket soon. Get the game on Steam using the link down below in the video description, and maybe we'll do a community play session. Next up, we're gonna need a ton of healing this run, and thankfully we have a way to farm 99 potions right now by exiting the sea to the boat and speaking to the owl bed. We can get extra potions and stock up, which is of course going to be a lifesaver. While doing this though, I try to get some fights against the fishies in, since they can drop all 4 spheres for the sphere grid, which will be super helpful. We don't need ability spheres because we can't use them, but speed and power spheres will be great, and since we have to farm potions anyway, this seems like a good time to get some. So once we hit 99 potions, it's time to move on to Tross. And we have another fight where it took a while just because of having to wait for him to attack me, but his normal attack does 40 damage and Nautilus deals about 80. So while I did have to heal this time around, I actually healed a lot less than I expected, needing only 2 potions. I did nearly need a third, but thankfully he died before I had to use it. Now we grab Walker, get pushed off a cliff, do a damn trial, see some giant bird creature boobs, you're welcome, get called a bad man, then fill up our potions, antidotes, and phoenix downs at the shop in Disgaea, ready for the upcoming bosses, and then move on to Kimari's fight. Now, we don't counter jump sadly, which means Kimari essentially gets to do 3 damage to me, which sucks. And one thing I never knew until now, but Defend actually doesn't lower its damage. How did I find this out? Well, the damage he deals has no change when I defend or not. It's always around 100, which I found super interesting. Anyway, his normal attack deals about 30 damage when I defend, so nothing to worry about at all there. I use a couple of potions when needed to keep healthy before he eventually gets countered to oblivion. Okay, now we skip the rest of the tutorials and make our way to the first impossible boss this run, the fin on the boat. Now, this is only impossible because the fin doesn't actually do anything, and as I said during the rules section of the video, that's a terrible reason not to do the challenge. So we're gonna bend the rules a little here and just attack the fin with Walker. It's cheap, I know, but I really like the idea of a counter only run, and I sure as heck aren't gonna stop because of the fin. The second phase of the fight, however, with Tidus and Walker underwater, we are absolutely doing it counter only, since it actually tries to murder me. And this fight is weird, okay? Let me explain. So, firstly, according to my rules, it's technically fine for Walker to throw potions on Tidus, right? Well, the problem here is we want Walker to die ASAP so he's out of the fight. The reason for this is the fact that the boss essentially has 3 attacks. He launches piranhas at us, uses Blender, and Drain Touch. Sadly, Drain Touch is the only thing which gets countered by Tidus, and it heals the boss when he uses it. This means whenever he uses it on Walker, he's just getting free healing since he can't counter. Not only that, but the boss attacking Walker also means no counters from Tidus, so the fight lasts longer. And if the fight lasts longer, then it also means I take more damage from the piranhas. And while Walker does eventually die, it takes a while. Not only that, but I have to heal quite a few times before Tidus slowly whacks him down. And we can move on to Kilika. Yuna does a nice dance, which I can't show because it's coming up with fake copyright claims lately. So let's just advance on to the next boss, another Sin Spawn at the temple, since we're ignoring Ochu as we can't kill it due to its sleep mechanic which heals it. Now we have another weird one. So the tentacles eventually die, and so does Walker and Kimari. All perfectly normal so far, right? Well, the boss himself only knows one attack in his closed shell, and it's called Sai. And guess what? It can't be counted, even though it does damage. So, how are we going to get past it? Well, first, let's look at what counterattack is and its ability description. When I get attacked, I counterattack. we have counter attack for physical attacks and magic counter for magic attacks. So I think it's perfectly fair for us to slightly bend the rules here in that I'm allowed to attack once after I take damage from Sai. I think that's fair, right? I mean, I only do it right after taking damage, so it's technically a counter attack. Is this too much of a rule bend? I'll let you guys decide, because I honestly can't make my mind up if it should be allowed or not. And while I'm still going to continue the run on, your feedback will help me decide what counts as a fail in future runs. Anywho, once the shell's been attacked a few times and opens up, we get back to the actual in-game counters because Venom and Water both trigger it. We just have to heal a lot more and cleanse poison whenever he uses Venom. And with that, we move all the way over to Luca, where we have our next boss, a lovely little Blitzball machine on a boat. Right after, we get Jack Shot, both for style points and because we're going to have to play a lot of Blitzball. Now, even though technically Yuna can summon giant monsters capable of easily ripping the boat to shreds, I'm not sure why we need to save her, but anyway, let's go. Now, one thing to think about here is the boss also counters for the first time, but a counter can't trigger a counter, so we should be safe on that front. What we're not safe on, however, is the boss only has one attack normally, Blitzball Rush, and once again, it doesn't trigger counters, which is really annoying. So one last time, we're gonna bend the rules slightly and adopt our can attack after taking damage strategy. But I'm starting to think this is the last time we'll allow this because it really is bending the rules. Even though it's technically a counter attack and it's technically making the run harder since I can't defend and I'm using turns to attack instead of heal, but I don't know, it just feels like we're not following the rules correctly. Maybe I'm just being overly strict on myself in this situation. One thing's clear though, if you rely solely on counterattack, the ability in-game, then no, this run's dead multiple times already. But I think for now, we'll continue on since we can get evade and counter really soon, so maybe that will finally counter these other attacks. I honestly have no idea though, since it's technically an upgraded counterattack, but I think that's only in relation to it evading for you. We'll see though, it's not that long now till I can get it anyway, and I'm pretty sure we won't have to bend any rules on upcoming bosses, but we'll see and judge it as we go. As for this boss, well, as you've likely already seen, it basically just got into a pattern of attack, use 2 potions, attack, use 2 potions, etc. It did eventually change when he suddenly had a big speed boost, forcing me to use high potions instead of regular potions, but that's about it. Now, win the Luca match against the Luca goers to get the strength sphere for winning, and then once we have complete control after the laughing scene, it's time to recruit some players, namely Jamal, Wedge, and Zevronso. All are in Luca and all are great additions to the team at this point, because now we need to play Blitzball, and lots of it. We want teleport spheres and return spheres for customize later. Pick up a few extra teleport spheres though, as it's going to be very handy for us. And of course, we will want to customize the counter abilities for everybody on multiple pieces of equipment throughout the game. So, the more the better. Return spheres can be farmed multiple times per teleport as well. Teleport sphere is a first place league prize, so abuse the reset method to make that always be the prize, and return spheres are top scorer rewards. This means you can easily get 2 or 3 per league, as long as your top scorers all have the same amount of goals, since each one gets a prize. Once all is said and done, I stop at 30 teleport spheres and 69 return spheres. Nice. And yes, I absolutely made sure I ended on that for the memes. Now, let's get on to Chocobo Eater. And I really hope you all know exactly what happens here, because I think it's pretty obvious. I get pushed off the cliff. My counters deal 90 damage, and with a crit, that's about 180 damage. He hits me for about 400 damage though, so even without the knockback mechanic, I don't think I'd be able to kill him without a serious grind. Thankfully, we don't need to, so I just let him knock me off, heal up, and move on to Mushroom Rock, ready for our next boss, and a favourite of mine, Since-Born Gui. Sadly, we can't farm the arms this time though. Now, the arms can slap us, the head can use venom, and I'm pretty sure the body itself uses Demi, so hopefully we'll still be able to counter the body down. But Gui hits hard in phase 1, so I know we're going to need a lot of healing for it, especially since I can't kill the head and I'm going to be dealing with poison the whole fight as well. And things take a hugely bad turn for me. Firstly, I can actually damage the body. The bad thing is, that's the only thing I can damage, and I also don't counter the Demi or Thunder casts. And of course, I can't counter the Venom from the head. I can only damage the body when he slaps me. Bad thing number 2. The arms block the attack, reducing my damage down to just 60 odd points, which thankfully go to the body instead of the arms. And finally, bad point number 3. The boss has 12,000 HP, so I need a casual 200 counterattacks just to defeat phase 1. And then phase 2, he has 6,000 HP, which means 100 counters. Now, we obviously also don't have Tidus for phase 2. So I'm gonna slightly cheat here and remove 1 teleport sphere from my inventory and teach Auron evading counter. I know I don't have customized yet, but I can't use Auron for the boss after this, and hey, there seems to be that kind of run. At least I'm removing the item from my inventory. I also won't use Auron again after this until I get customized at Guado Salam. But for now, let's talk about how phase 1 went. Aside from the previously mentioned bad points, I also ran out of items and died to Venom. Even defending, this does 500 damage to me without even considering the tick damage. If I don't cleanse poison, couple that with I can only buy potions currently, which limits me to 99 heals at 200 points each. What does this mean? That this fight is currently mathematically impossible for me to do, just because of how often I'm hit with abilities that don't get countered. In fact, even if every single point of damage I took was from his melee attack, 99 potions still wouldn't let me kill it when I'm only doing 60 damage a time. This means I need to grind, and sadly, it's gonna have to be a big one as well. We need to get our counter damage up to at least 200 to 300 to really have a good shot here. The HP we end up on doesn't matter too much because he has Demi. So if anything, higher HP here is going to suck. It's just the strength we need. So I use a teleport sphere and move Ko-Fi over to Auron's grid to start racking up the strength stat. And this is by no means a fast process. It's slow. Very, very slow. For reference on just how slow, I've been doing this now for 5 12-hour night shifts. Take away a little time for when I'm doing stuff, and that's still on average 9 to 10 hours a night doing this grind. I tried the boss multiple times and slowly saw the damage going up, but not really in a very noticeable manner. Eventually, we get to the point I think I can do it, and well, I use over 40 antidotes, some of my high potions, and a solid 70 potions, slowly chipping away in a fight that took close to an hour. But we eventually do manage to down it. Sometimes I got those nice sexy crits dealing a nice amount, but sadly they weren't that common, and because of Demi there was no point in me keeping my health super high. So I let myself get down to the yellow and steadily threw out potions when needed, just to make sure I could survive Venom and Thunder together, aka I didn't let myself stay below 700 HP. Sometimes I dropped a little too low and threw out some high potions, but for the most part, potion spam kept me going long enough. The fight was absolute hell on earth though. So now there's 3 bosses I'm absolutely terrified of. Machina Panzer at Macalania, Spheremorph, and Seymour. They all hit way harder after all, but while phase 2 of Gui first. And remember what I said earlier. I know Tidus isn't available in this fight, so we're going to slightly bend the rules and let Auron use evade and counter early by removing the sphere from my inventory and putting it on his weapon. But we aren't allowed to use him again after this fight until we unlock Customize. And while with Auron having piercing, it went a little faster. Well, a lot faster. But It was also more dangerous as the fight ended with Oren having just 100 HP because I messed up my turn order for healing and cleansing, combined with the boss doing Venom and then Demi in the same turn, not letting me cleanse and heal in between. But ultimately, it was the same as the first fight, only a little easier even though I came close to dying. And with that, Oren is now banned until I get customized. Thankfully, after Josei, there's only one boss, and that's the underwater fight with Riku, where only Tidus and Walker get to act anyway. And I don't quite know how to say this, but we kind of one-shot the fight. I know it's entirely because of the Kiwi fight, and we had to overgrind for it, but thankfully, we're not actually going to be overpowered. Why do I say that? Simple. We counter only, which means I have to first take damage, but there's also the fact only Tidus has magic counter until after I get the airship. So there's tons of fights where I'm absolutely gonna get decimated. But enough about future events, we have to get there first. And now that we have the lovely Jailbait in our party, we can finally customize weapons. And the first step to doing this is to give everybody evade and counter. And by everybody, I mean Kimari, Walker, and Oren. No point giving it to the girls just yet, after all. I have a very special plan for them later, which I think is going to be a gigabrain strategy. Anywho, Spheremorph is up next, and I'm worried about his abilities and if we can even counter them. But just before that, speak to our Walker and buy 99 high potions. This is the first chance we have to buy them, and we're sure as hell not gonna miss it. And now, time for a good laugh, everybody. Spheremorph uses magic as a counter. This leaves him with 2 attacks. Press, which is gravity based and so can't actually kill me, but sadly it does not get countered, and the other attack is a normal melee attack. However, with having evade and counter, it means that's never actually going to hit me. AKA, we cheesed the boss so freaking badly it's unreal. With evade and counter, it's actually 100% impossible for us to lose this fight. Something I didn't even think of until we actually got into it and I saw it happening. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be the case with the Machina though, which is right next. But let's go see. And I have no idea why I call it Panzer, probably because I farmed it so much in 10-2, but yeah, I'm on about Crawler. Sadly though, just like in Luca, we do not counter his only ability, Gatling Gun, and I think we've bended the rules too many times already in my opinion. So I'm absolutely ruling this challenge as a fail personally. However, I still move forward to check out Seymour and Anima. Why? Well, even if we stick to the attacking after being attacked is technically a counter, that doesn't fly with Anima, because the only attacks Anima has is Pain, which is insta-kill, meaning we can't attack back, and Oblivion, which is an overdrive and we don't counter it. So even though we've been bending the rules a lot this run, this is a pretty definitive and definite no. You absolutely cannot beat Final Fantasy X using only counter attacks. And honestly, I kind of figured this would happen pretty early on in the run when I started to think about future bosses. I'd kind of hoped Pain would be evadable, but I should have known it wouldn't be from my solo character challenges. I will admit though, it's a shame we didn't at least get to Isaru so I could murder Bahamut just to annoy Death with, but I guess some sacrifices have to be made. But now the question becomes, did you find the hint in this video for what the next video is? Did you join the Discord server to bully me like I bullied Daff? And of course, did you check out Ko-Fi for all the cool extra bonuses? Or take a look at the goals we have. Once they are hit, it means so much more content for you. And I guess Daff gets food. Maybe we can even let her out of the cage once we hit the first goal. We're a third of the way there after all. Let's have a big push to get there. All of these are linked down below in the description. They're also on my link tree, along with links to all my other socials and platforms, including a few things I bet you didn't know about. And hey, I know we're in summer right now, so why not pick up an OnlyFans t-shirt? Or think ahead for winter and get yourself a nice warm hoodie. Also, make sure to like the video. If not, I'll kidnap your pet. Until next time though, everybody, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.